Welcome to Team Power and the Power of Choice. You and your store are going to be operating as a team to represent the largest manufacturer of video games in the industry, Nintendo. Nintendo is committed to passing on the fun and excitement of video games to each of our customers. And you've been selected this holiday season to help each of those customers understand the excitement of each of our games. I'm Shelley Saunders, Training Supervisor at Nintendo's Consumer Service, and I'll be your guide as you go through this training program. As a Nintendo Product Demonstrator, we have 4 tasks we'd like you to meet. The first is to help our consumers make an informed choice about which Nintendo product and accessory is right for them. Your second task as a product demonstrator is to impart the strength and commitment Nintendo has to its 3 systems. Your third task is to help the consumer experience the fun and excitement of each of our video game systems through the use of hands-on displays. And your fourth task as a Nintendo Product Demonstrator is to answer any questions the consumer may raise about our competitive programs. In order to help you reach your task, we've divided the training into 3 sections. In the first section, we'll show you how to set up your Mario stand-up display. We'll show you all the different resources that you have to use while helping the customer. We'll also cover Nintendo's complete product line, its 3 systems and all the accessories, key features and benefits of each one of those. In the second section of the training, we'll be covering things like common questions a consumer may raise, how to answer those difficult competitive questions, things like our world-class service and support that Nintendo maintains for each of its products. In the third section of training, we'll cover the daily routine tasks that you need to be aware of, how to fill out the proper paperwork in order to get paid, how to fill out an evaluation and send us back how successful you've been as a product demonstrator. Just like everything at Nintendo, we want this training to be fun. In order to assist you with the gameplay of the training, we've designed a contest just for you. At 3 different times throughout the video, you'll hear this music. When you do, get ready with a pencil and paper. We'll be giving you a pair of numbers at 3 different points in the video for a total of 6 digits. At the end of this training, we'll show you how to fill out an evaluation form and put that 6-digit code on the evaluation form. When you're done with your job duties at the end of December, we're going to ask you to return the binder, your apron, as well as the evaluation with that 6-digit code. When we receive the information back, we will send you a Nintendo pen, a Mario pin, and a Super NES ruler. For returning your evaluation, the binder, and the apron, along with that 6-digit key code, you'll have your name entered into a raffle to win one of 5 great prizes. First prize is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Second prize is the NES Sports Set. Third prize is the NES Power Set. Fourth prize is the NES Action Set. Fifth prize will be a Game Boy system. Remember, the only way to get your secret 6-digit code is to listen closely to this videotape. Once again, we'd like to welcome you to the Nintendo Power Team and the Power of Choice. We've included a binder with the training that will give you a lot more detailed information to read through after completing this video. In the back of the binder, you'll find a certificate of achievement we've created just for you. Thanks and welcome aboard. Before going any further, let's make sure you have all your supplies. The first thing you should have found in your box is the stand-up Mario display. It has detailed instructions, and you'll want to take some time to set them up before we go any further. Included in the resources, you'll find 1 to 200 of the following brochures. The Power of Choice brochure, the Super Nintendo Entertainment brochure, Game Boy brochures, and the NES brochure with Dr. Mario on the front. The most important brochure that you have available to you is the one labeled The Power of Choice. This brochure gives you detailed information as well as answers the most common questions about our 3 systems. On the back, it includes information for our Consumer Service Hotline, our Nintendo World Class Service Center Referral Hotline, and our Gameplay Counselor Hotline. You'll also find about 200 Super Nintendo Entertainment System hookup posters, 1 to 3 buttons, Attached to the back of your Mario stand-up, you'll find 3 Nintendo Power Player Guides: Mario Mania, NES Game Atlas, and the Game Boy Player's Guide. In the back of your binder, you'll find the following laminated sheets. One is two-sided and has the feature comparison chart. This chart gives you detailed information about Nintendo's system versus our most common competitive brands. At the bottom, it has technical terms made easy, and you can use this when talking to consumers when they want to know what Mode 7 or 16-bit means. On the other side is a comparison chart for all the Nintendo of America systems, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, and the Game Boy. You can use this side to help consumers determine which product is best for them. You'll also find a set of product line sheets. These laminated sheets show you pictures of each of Nintendo's products and accessories. They also explain key features and benefits. The last set of laminated sheets are common questions that consumers may ask. Feel free to use this sheet and actually show the consumer the answers available to you. You will also find the following smaller items: 1 small screwdriver, 1 apron, 1 hat, 3 keys that will fit the displays, 1 pre-addressed Federal Express envelope, and 1 set of instructions for the assembly of the stand-up Mario. If you are missing any of the items we've talked about, turn to the section labeled Supplies and call 1-800-875-1852. As a Nintendo Product Demonstrator, we would like you to be casual yet professional. Make sure you always wear nice slacks or pants and a nice shirt or blouse. You can also wear a sweater. We would like you to wear the apron as well as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System hat. Included with your starter kit are 1 to 3 buttons. Ask me about the Super NES, ask me about the Sports Set, and ask me about F1 Race. Wear the button on the right pocket that most represents the product your store has in stock. The first 2 numbers for the secret key code are 03. 03. Now let's move to our Mario stand-up display. You'll see wires attached to 3 Nintendo Player's Guides. These 3 Player's Guides give you detailed information about gameplay. And when you have a game player who's stuck in a challenging game, make sure you refer them to these 3 Player's Guides. You'll also see included a stack of Super NES hookup posters. When you have a consumer who's concerned about how to do a hookup, you can hand out one of these posters and it will detail it for them. At the bottom of your Mario stand-up display, you'll find 4 compartments. In each compartment, put the brochures you receive with your starter set. You should keep your compartments well stocked. If you need additional supplies, turn to that section of the binder and call the 1-800 number provided. Now let's show you how to put the brochures in your apron. You want to take a few of each type of brochure and put them in the 2 pockets provided. Put the Game Boy and the NES brochures in one of the pockets, and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the Power of Choice brochure in the other pocket. You'll also want to make sure that you carry the laminated sheets that were provided in the back of the binder in each one of the pockets. That way they'll be easily accessible when a consumer has a question. Now that we've shown you how to set up your Mario stand-up display, we'd like to cover in detail Nintendo's complete product line. Nintendo is committed to bringing only the highest quality video game technology to the market. Key to that commitment is bringing out games that come with our systems. We'd like to start with our first system, the 8-bit Nintendo Entertainment System, also called the NES. We have 4 different system configurations, the first of which is called the Control Deck system. The Control Deck system is designed for expandability. The set includes the control deck, 2 controllers, the AC adapter, and everything you need to set it up to any standard television set. The second NES system available to our consumers is the NES Sports Set. The NES Sports Set is for sports enthusiasts of all ages. This system plays the entire NES game library, plus allows from 1 to 4 players to play specifically designed 4-player simultaneous games. The set includes the control deck, 4 controllers, the NES satellite, with 6 size C batteries, a dual game pack including Super Spike V-Ball and Nintendo World Cup Soccer, as well as the AC adapter, audio-video cables, and RF switch for hookup. The third NES system available is the Action Set. The Action Set was designed for those children who'd like to play the Zapper light gun. It comes with a control deck, 2 controllers, the NES Zapper light gun, and a dual game pack containing Duck Hunt for use with the light gun and Super Mario Brothers. It also includes the AC adapter, the RF switch, and all the components you need to set up the system. The fourth NES system is the Power Set. The Power Set is the ultimate system for combining fun with fitness. This set includes the control deck, 2 controllers, the NES Zapper, and the NES Power Pad. It contains 3 game packs: Duck Hunt for use with the Zapper gun, World Class Track Meet for use with the Power Pad, and the famous game Super Mario Brothers. Nintendo's most advanced video game system is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the Super NES. This system offers thousands of colors and up to 4 layers of scrolling screens which provide dazzling 3D graphics. It also includes digital stereo sound to help bring new excitement to video game play. It's like playing in a movie. This system includes the control deck, 2 high-tech controllers, the game pack Super Mario World, the AC adapter, RF switch, and stereo audio-video cables. Nintendo's portable video game system is Game Boy. It brings the power of the NES to the palm of your hand. Game Boy is a unique portable video game system featuring high-quality graphics, sound, and performance. The Game Boy is packaged with stereo headphones, the Game Link allowing up to 2 players to play at once, the Game Pack Tetris, and 4 AA batteries that allow you to play up to 30 hours. Now let's cover all the NES accessories. In addition to the NES controllers included with every system, is the NES Max. The NES Max is a horseshoe-shaped controller allowing maximum control, 360-degree control button, and 2 turbo buttons. The next NES controller is the NES Advantage. This controller features a joystick just like used in the arcades. It also has variable rate turbo control as well as slow motion for games that have the slow motion function programmed in. The next NES accessory is the NES 4-Score. This controller allows you to play 4 players simultaneous on games that allow 4 players simultaneous play. It also allows all NES controllers to have the additional turbo function. This controller also works with all NES controllers except the Zapper gun and Power Pad. The next NES accessory is the Satellite. This is a remote control accessory, which means there's no cords that attach to the control deck. This accessory allows you to also play with 4 player simultaneous games. This accessory adds the extra function of turbo to all controllers attached to it. This works with all NES controllers, the Max, the Advantage, as well as the Power Pad and the Zapper light gun. The Zapper light gun is for use with all NES systems. It is included with the Power Set as well as the Action Set. The Zapper light gun is used with games like Duck Hunt and Barker Bill's Trick Shooting. The NES Power Pad is an interactive mat used to control the character's image on the video screen. It's great with games like World Class Track Meet, and remember, it's included with the Power Set. Now let's cover the accessories available for the Game Boy. The first accessory is the rechargeable battery pack and AC adapter. When this is plugged into the wall, it works like an AC adapter. When it's fully charged after 8 hours, it can be removed and used as a battery pack for up to 10 hours of continuous play. This is a great stocking stuffer item. There are 2 carrying cases available for the Game Boy. One is the hip pouch and will allow you to carry around the AC adapter. The other carrying case available for the Game Boy is one that attaches to your belt loop. You can put in 4 games as well as the Game Boy unit. Also available for the Game Boy is the 4-player adapter. This allows you to connect with 3 of your friends for 4-player game interaction. Available for all 3 systems are the cleaning kits. Everything you need to keep each control deck and all your game packs clean are included in each one of these kits. Next, we'll be talking about the different displays available in each of your stores. Your stores may not have all the displays shown in this section. They should, however, have at least one interactive display or a control deck and TV setup so customers may get hands-on gameplay. If not, please call 1-800-875-1852.
Hi, I'm Jake Jacobson, a display coordinator at Nintendo of America. As part of your job, you're going to be working with some of our point-of-purchase interactive displays. Two of these are single-player and dual-player Game Boy countertop units. First, we'll talk about the single-player Game Boy countertop unit. Some things you'll need to know about the Game Boy itself. On the face of your Game Boy, you have several control keypads here. The first one being the black directional control, which allows you movement from left or right, top or bottom. Two gray-colored oblong keypads. The first one being the start, which is on the right-hand side. The second being the select on the left-hand side. And then two magenta or purple buttons, the A and the B button. To start a game, you press the start button. That'll take you to an option screen. You may need to use your directional keypad and your select keypad for different options on those, and then press start to go on to the next screen. Press start consecutively until you begin the game, and then you utilize your directional keypad for directions, up, down, left, and right, and your A and B buttons for different options during gameplay. The A and B buttons are programmed different for each different game, and you will need to read the directions at the beginning of the game to find out the exact use of these keys. With your demonstrator kit, you'll be receiving a key ring with 3 different keys on it for the different interactive displays. This particular display, the Game Boy Single Interactive that we were just looking at, utilizes one of 2 different keys. One of them is marked with the number MM101. The other key could be CH751. You may have to try either one of those to open the back of this. To open the back, simply insert your key into the lock, turn, and flip the door open. You'll need to know this and to do this to gain access inside to change the game pack and adjust the volume of the display. The first thing we're going to do is adjust the volume. That's attained on the left-hand side with this small aluminum shaft sticking out with a rubber grommet on it. To adjust the volume, simply turn it clockwise to turn the volume up and counterclockwise to turn the volume down. Down below here, to change game packs and turn power on and off, your power switch is this little button right here. You flip it to the right to turn your power off and to the left to turn it back on. You must flip it to the right to turn the power off before removing the game pack. To remove the game pack, press your fingers underneath the game pack, push up, and pull out. That removes the game pack, and you can place a different game pack or the same game pack back in. To replace the game pack, make sure the label is facing downward, insert it back into the game pack slot, push firmly to seat the game pack, and turn your power back on. Now that we've covered the Game Boy Single Countertop Interactive Display, let's move on to the Game Boy Dual Countertop Interactive Display. Remember, with each Game Boy, you get a video link cable, 4 AA batteries, a game pack, and stereo headphones. Stereo is displayed with each one of our Game Boy displays, and with the Dual Interactive, you can also demonstrate the head-to-head combat or head-to-head play with the video link cable, which is included inside this display. To demonstrate head-to-head competition using the Game Link cable, you must first reset each Game Boy using the 4-key reset. Once both are reset, you must select 2-player option on both Game Boys. Remember, you must have the same game pack in each of the Game Boys to do this. The electronics inside the Game Boy dual-wide countertop display are identical to those inside the Game Boy single-wide countertop display. To open the back of the dual-wide countertop display, use key number MM101, turn the key and open the back of the display. Inside of the display, your electronics may be mounted on each side of the display for each Game Boy, or they may be in the bottom of the display, as is the case with this unit here. On each board, you'll find the aluminum shaft with the rubber grommet sticking out of the side for your volume control. Turn the rubber grommet clockwise or counterclockwise to adjust your volume. Also inside, you can access the Game Boy power switch and the Game Boy game pack. Turn the power switch off by pushing to the right. Again, push pressure upward on the game pack and pull outward to change the game pack. To replace the game pack, make sure your label is facing down. Push the game pack in, seat firmly, and push your power switch to the left to turn back on. This is the Game Boy dual-wide floor display, similar to the Game Boy dual-wide countertop display. Some of these units have been modified with video units inside that reflect the images from the screen on the Game Boy so that other customers can view a particular player's actions. This unit is also set up utilizing the video link cable so that players may play head-to-head. Remember again, you must have the same game pack in both Game Boys before you can play head-to-head competition. To play head-to-head competition, reset both Game Boys using the 4-key reset, select 2-player option, and have a ball. To gain access to the electronics inside of the Game Boy dual-wide floor display, utilize your key number MM101, open the door, being very careful not to drop this on your feet. Open the door, reach up inside, and adjust your volume control, or to change the game pack, you will need to turn off the power on the Game Boy, pull out the game pack, put in your new game pack, make sure the label is facing down, and turn the power back on. Then you can close the door and you're back in operation. This is the Game Boy single-player floor display, very similar to the Game Boy single-player countertop display. To gain access to the electronics inside the display, use your MM101 key, place it into the lock at the top center of the unit, open the key and drop the front panel down. Inside the display, on the left-hand side, you'll find your electronic amplifier board. Your volume control is standing straight up. Turn that clockwise to increase volume, counterclockwise to decrease the volume. On the back of the unit, on the back of the panel, you'll find your Game Boy. To change game packs, you turn the power switch off, pull your game pack out by applying pressure and lifting up. To place a new game pack back in, press the game pack down into the unit, make sure your label is pointing toward the rear of the display, and press firmly and turn your power back on. This concludes the Game Boy interactive displays. This is the Nintendo Entertainment System 12-game selectable display. Use of this display is very easy. First, select a game utilizing the Game Select switch on the front. The ends of the game packs are labeled just inside the windows and numbered to the left of each game pack. Select your game, take your controller, and press start. The game will take you through a series of screens to set up the game. Once you started the game, the controller is used as some of the others that we have talked about and some we will talk about. The keypad is utilized for directional movement, up, down, left, right. Your start and select were used to start the game, and your start can also be used to pause the game at any point. Your A and B buttons are used to move icons up and down, jump around, etc. With this unit, either one player or 2 players may be used, depending on the game selected. Also, certain games allow use of the orange zapper gun. These games will utilize the left controller and the zapper gun when used. This display was provided without a monitor to your store. The store provided the monitor and has the information on how to adjust volume. Please check with your store personnel. This is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System countertop display. This display actually uses a Super Nintendo Entertainment System in it. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System controller has keys very, very similar to the Nintendo Entertainment System and the handheld Game Boy. You have your control directional pad to move items left, right, top to bottom. Your start and select buttons to begin the game, and your start button will also present a pause in the middle of the game if necessary. Your A and B buttons to cause items to jump, move, spin, etc. You also have added for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System an X and Y button and a right and left button on the top. All 4 of those buttons are programmed specific to each game. You should read the directions either at the beginning of the game on the screen or consult the operator's manual for that game. Next, we'll replace the game pack. To gain access inside of the secure cover, take your LL419 key, place it into the lock on the side, turn the lock, which pops up the plastic security cover, flip the cover forward and down. Inside, you turn your power off by sliding the power button toward the front of the display. To remove the game pack, push down on the eject button, which is located in between the power and the reset buttons. That pops up the game pack. Remove the game pack, and then take your new game pack, place into the game pack slot, push down firmly to seat the game pack, and your power switch back on. Close the plexiglass security cover, lock it. Now we'll discuss adjusting the volume on this unit. The volume control is located on the right-hand side of the display, just above the timer block circuit. These little switches set the timing for the display. Your store personnel should handle that. With a small screwdriver, there's a volume adjustment just above that. It looks like a small screw. Take your screwdriver and turn clockwise to increase the volume and counterclockwise to decrease the volume. Next, we'll talk about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System floor interactive display. This is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System interactive floor display, very similar to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System countertop display. The electronic housing is identical to the countertop display. You can gain access through the keyhole on the side to flip the plexiglass security cover and do your operations inside. The controllers also work identical to the countertop display. The difference with this, one, the stereo speakers are located above your head here. There's also a bass speaker underneath the secure tray. The other major difference is the sound adjustment, which is inside the right-hand panel. To gain access inside the Super Nintendo Entertainment System floor display, take your LL419 key, locate the lock on the back of the display near the right-hand panel, place your key in that, and unlock the lock. Grasp the panel with your fingernails or a small screwdriver. Open the side of the display. Next, we're going to adjust the volume. But before we do that, I'm going to give you two more of those numbers you've been hearing about. And those numbers are 2 and 7. Again, those special numbers are 2 and 7. Now, to adjust your volume on this display, inside the display, locate again the switches to set the timing. Right above that, you'll find that small screw head where you take your small screwdriver and turn that small screw head to adjust your volume. Turning clockwise increases the volume, turning counterclockwise decreases the volume. This concludes the Super Nintendo Entertainment System interactive displays. This is the Game Boy Laserdisc interactive display, one of 3 Laserdisc interactives that allow you to show over 40 game titles to your customers. Each Laserdisc interactive has 3 lettered keypads and 5 numbered keypads. To select a category on each one of these displays, press a lettered keypad. In this case, we'll try letter A. After selecting your desired category, a menu will appear with 5 different options that you can select from. In this particular case, we have action, fantasy action, adventure, movie action, or strategy. Let's go ahead and select 3, adventure. After making your selection, the display will show you gameplay footage for 1 or more games. To adjust the volume on the unit, take your set of keys and select key number 2007. Open the lock on the front of the display, which opens the door, exposing the television and the Laserdisc player. To change your volume, select your plus or minus volume keys to raise or lower the volume. Close the display and lock it again. If you have any problems with this display, be sure to call Impart Incorporated at 1-800-875-1852. This is the second unit of our 3 Laserdisc interactive displays. This particular display is utilized to depict the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo Entertainment System, as well as game titles that are featured in the Nintendo Power magazine. The operation of this unit is identical to the other 2 units with the A, B, C, and 1 through 5 numbered buttons. To select any one of the major categories, press that letter. In this case, we'll press A. Wait a second, and the menu will come up depicting different categories within that main category that you can select from. In this case, say we want to view arcade games, we would select number 4. And this will bring up a segment of gameplay footage for arcade games. Now, again, to change the volume on this unit, just as it is with the other units, take your 2007 key, open the front keypad, flip it down. Your volume controls will be at the bottom of the television set. You can adjust your volume up or down. Once you've adjusted the volume to your satisfaction, close and lock the front of the display. Many of these displays have been retrofitted with a backlit topper depicting the Super Nintendo Entertainment System logo. If your store does not have this backlit topper, please call 1-800-875-1852. Tell these people who you are, what store you were in. They will dispatch a merchandiser out to that store to investigate the situation. This is the third of 3 Laserdisc interactive displays. This display has only been partially modified to show you what the display looks like without the Super Nintendo Entertainment System topper on it. Should you see a display without this topper or with this keypad, be sure to call 1-800-875-1852. This keypad works very similar to the other keypads. The categories are slightly different. Here we have the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy, and then original Nintendo Entertainment System for the selections A, B, and C. Operation for this keypad is identical to the other keypads. Press a main category by pressing A, B, or C. We'll press A. A menu will appear with 5 different categories of gameplay footage that we can select from. Let's go ahead and select number 2, Fast Action. To change the volume control, once again, select key number 2007, place this into the lock on the door, turn and open the door. Your volume controls are mounted on the bottom of the television inside. Select your volume increase or volume decrease until you have a desired volume setting. Close and lock the door again. If your store does not have any of the interactive displays previously discussed, please call 1-800-875-1852. One of our field merchandisers will be dispatched to discuss the situation with your store manager. Thank you.
Now that you know all about Nintendo's product line and how to use the interactive displays in your store, let's move on to some selling tips. There's 3 things to keep in mind when you're working at your store location. First of all, your primary task as a product demonstrator is to make sure that the customer walks home with a product that fits their exact needs. The second thing that you want to make sure that you do is check the product inventory at your store. Each morning when you come to work, make sure you know the different products, systems, and accessories that are available to you. That way you can recommend the right product for your consumer that day. And third, you want to make sure that in addition to systems, you also introduce the consumer to the different accessories as well as game packs available for each of our systems. Talking to consumers can be intimidating. No customer wants to be pushed into a purchase, and we don't want you to be a hard sell either. We would like you to be assertive, though. Talk to the different consumers that come into your area. Ask them questions to find out what their needs are. To help guide you through your talks with consumers, we've come up with a few different questions to help you along the way. Begin by asking them what are the features they're looking for in video games, and then ask them why they like these features. This can help you uncover unspoken needs that the consumer may have. Second of all, it's a good idea to ask the consumer how old the game player is going to be and how many game players there may be in the household. If there's more than one game player, you can offer the accessory that allows 4 players simultaneous play. And number 3, you want to find out how experienced the game player is. That way you know whether to recommend an NES, a Super NES, or the Game Boy system. Using the answers to these questions, you can guide the consumer to the product that best fits their needs. Please make sure you use the laminated sheets that are provided in the back of the binder. This way you don't have to memorize the answers, and the customers can see for themselves the products that best fit them. If you're not able to bring the customer to a purchase decision, feel free to hand them one of the brochures provided. The Power of Choice brochure contains information on all 3 systems. It also contains the consumer service hotline number, so they can call Nintendo Direct if they have any questions when they get home. What about the competition? We here at Nintendo feel our games speak for themselves. We have the highest quality product as well as the best ongoing support. But we know the questions still come up. As we developed this training program, we spoke to our merchandisers. They're at each of your stores every day, and they talk to a lot of our customers. We thought we'd get a list of the common questions that come up and ask the expert. Joining me today is Tim Dale, part of our Team Nintendo.
Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Tim. And I wanted to ask Tim some of the key questions that come up. First of all, Tim, what I want to know is, why should someone buy the Super NES when the NES is such a good product to begin with?
The Super NES is mostly for the game enthusiast and someone who has had a Nintendo Entertainment System for anywhere from 2 to 3 years.
So, Tim, why is the Super NES better? What's the difference?
This system is amazing. It's got so many features that make it unique to the 16-bit systems out on the market right now. For instance, it can scale and rotate its images, and it just adds more depth to the gameplay. Its ability to zoom and pan, it's just incredible the way that the system can do all these things and makes it so much more lifelike.
I've heard a lot about the sound on the Super NES. What's that?
The sound is probably one of the most amazing things on this new system. Normally when you play a video game, you're used to hearing blips and bleeps and most of the electronic noises. With the Super NES, it has a fully digital stereo sound, an 8-bit processor dedicated just to the sound, and you can have actual voices and realistic sound effects on here. Some of the soundtracks you'll hear on these on the new games coming out for the system are just amazing, orchestrated, and it's just beautiful the way that they go through with the game. It's almost like watching a movie.
You know, Tim, that sounds incredible, but $200 is a lot of money.
Well, Shelley, as the 31 million owners of a Nintendo Entertainment System currently know, Nintendo means that you're going to have years of entertainment. It's almost an investment on long-term entertainment. In fact, 93% of the people that currently own an NES are still playing that 5 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got me sold on the Super NES. Why would I even consider buying the NES then?
Both of these systems provide different types of entertainment. Someone who is just coming into the field of video games would very much enjoy owning a Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a great system to start on, and if you're an enthusiast and you've played video games for quite a while, you might be looking for the Super NES.
Tim, I know a little bit about your history. You used to be one of the gameplay counselors that helped consumers through those tough spots in the game. Where do they go if they need help now?
There are still 200 game counselors that are available 7 days a week. You can call them on our hotline. The area code is 206-885-7529, and they're available Monday through Saturday, the hours of 4 a.m. to 12 a.m., and on Sunday 8 to 5.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Joining me now is Serena Hennigan. She's also part of the Nintendo team. She will help us answer some of the other difficult questions consumers bring up. Welcome, Serena.
Hi, Shelley.
One of the things I want to ask you is, Tim spent a lot of time convincing me that the Super NES is the product of the future. What is your plans for the NES? Are you guys going to discontinue that?
Oh, no. We have 31 million units of our Nintendo Entertainment System out there, 65 million players. And we're going to continue to make games for them, for the people who enjoy playing on that.
Serena, I want to know about repair. How difficult is it to get these systems serviced after you purchase them?
Well, Nintendo has a nationwide network of world-class service centers that are conveniently located in those metropolitan areas that can work on the NES, the Super NES, or the Game Boy systems.
Great. So, Serena, how many games are available for the NES?
For the NES, we have over 450 games available at this time.
Wow. I know there's a lot of uses for the Game Boy. How many games are available for the Game Boy?
115 right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can see where we have two great products, the NES and the Super NES. If both of them are so good and we're planning on keeping them for long term, how come we didn't come out with an adapter?
Well, actually, as I said, we have 31 million units out there, and those people who own those really do have an adapter.
What do you mean?
Well, you can hook them both up together with the same TV without any hooking and unhooking and not a lot of technology involved. So that for those 31 million people, and they're projected to be purchases of our new 16-bit Super Nintendo Entertainment System, they can just hook it right up. So those people, for us to put an adapter on there and charge them for that would really be paying for something they don't need. So it's really saving them some money.
Okay, I get it. Okay, so if that's the case, tell me, I want to go back to this Game Boy product that's available. I hear the competition has some really fancy features. Theirs has color. How come ours doesn't?
Well, for one thing, it's lightweight. Our Game Boy is lightweight. And with color, the batteries last just a few hours, 4 to 6 hours, and ours last for much, much longer than that.
Okay.
And that's one of the advantages of not having a color screen, is that really, in the long run, it's cheaper.
Okay. Who is one of the recommended users of that Game Boy system?
Well, almost anybody. Little
Okay.
kids enjoy it. Women love the Game Boy. It's portable. It can be taken on trips on planes and trains and boats. I found that in talking to people, everybody enjoys the Game Boy. Over half of the users on the Game Boy are adults.
Great. Serena, if there was one important message that you could tell me, what is it? What's the most important thing about buying or selecting any video game system?
Well, I think we need to look at the family entertainment. That's the most important thing that I can look at, and Nintendo's totally committed to quality family entertainment.
Okay. Thanks, Serena. All the information that we've provided in these little talks here are on the laminated sheets that were included in the back of your binder. The information is bulleted out on each of those sheets. You don't have to give all the information each time a consumer asks a question, but you can certainly pull those out and reference them and let the consumer read for themselves what's important about each of these questions.
Hi, I've been hearing a lot about this. Can you explain to my mom why it's such a great system?
Yeah, I sure can. This is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and it has what we call as a 16-bit processor. That means it can process a whole lot of information faster. It has more advanced graphics on it and scaling and rotation. All that means is that you get a lot more depth to gameplay, and it has a lot more realistic games for it.
Well, that's wonderful, but can you explain why the $200 price tag? It seems a little expensive for a game.
Okay, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System offers long-term entertainment value, and what we mean by that is, let me give you an example of our NES system. It's been out for about 5 years, and it is still used by 93% of our customers 5 times a week. Plus, this system, when you purchase it, you get 2 controllers and one of the hottest games in the Super Mario series called Super Mario World.
Sounds great.
Why don't you come on over here and take a look at it?
Okay.
This system has about 28 games available for it by January, and then it will also have 45 by next spring. The game you're looking at right now is called F-Zero, and it shows a lot of the realism that I was talking about. When you play it, it's actually like being in a car. All you need to do is just hold down the B button here and move your car back and forth like that.
Wow, that's great.
Hi, my oldest son and I are basically looking for a system, but I'm really confused at the choices that are out there, and I was wondering if you could just tell me about the choices I have in game system.
Sure. I'd like to ask you a couple questions, and then I have a comparison chart that might help us out. You're looking for your son. How old is he?
He's 8.
Okay, and how much gameplay experience does he have?
Well, he's not a real avid game player, but all the kids at school have a Nintendo system, and he really wants one.
Okay, what kind of different games does he like, do you know?
He likes football, along with the 2 other boys at home.
Okay.
They really enjoy that. Basically all sports games.
Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this chart. We have 3 different systems available, but from the information you've given me, it sounds like the Nintendo Entertainment System might be the best one for you. This is one that's been out since November of 1985. There's over 430 games available for it and a large selection of sports games. If we look at the different game systems that are out there, it sounds like the NES Sports Set might fit you. It comes with a dual game pack, and both of them are sports games. It's World Cup Soccer and Super Spike V-Ball. It also comes with a controller called the Satellite, and that allows 4 kids to play at one time. So your 3 kids, as well as yourself, could sit down and enjoy a family evening of playing these sports games. So I think that might be the system you're looking for.
That definitely sounds like the system for us.
Great.
Hey, Dad, look at this.
Wow, that's great.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm looking for a gift for my husband for the holidays.
Okay.
He's a kid at heart, He's always playing the Nintendo Entertainment System. In fact, if he could, he'd take it to work with him.
Okay.
I was thinking of buying another game for him, but I don't know. Do you have something else in mind?
Well, I have a couple games that he might be interested in, but I have a system that you might be interested in for him. Have you ever heard of the Nintendo Game Boy?
I might have heard of it.
Okay, well, these kids are playing it over here right now, and the Game Boy system allows you to take video gameplay with you. It's a portable unit. It comes with stereo headphones, and it comes with a game pack Tetris. There's over 115 games available for it out on the market.
Oh, well, I noticed that it has doesn't look like a colored screen. I know there's another one out on the market that does have a colored screen. What can you tell me about that?
Well, this has a black and white or almost a yellow color screen. It's called an LCD screen. And what that allows is longer gameplay on one set of batteries. The system comes with 4 batteries, and you can get about 30 hours of gameplay with those 4 batteries. Other systems only allow about 4 to 6 hours when you use a color screen. The other thing about the color screen is they're much heavier, so they impact the portability of it. This system would be really nice, fits in a briefcase, would be easy to take to work.
That sounds great.
You want to try it over here?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, let's take a look.
Hi.
Hi. You know, I'm not terribly happy with your company these days.
I'm sorry to hear that. Why?
Well, you know, I've been a loyal consumer for the past 3 years. During that time, I've purchased a number of your products, including controllers, software, cleaning kits. Now, my son tells me that you're coming out with a new system, the 16-bit system, and in that system, I'm not able to play the current games that I have.
That's correct. The technological differences between the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System are comparable to a compact disc player and a cassette player that you might have in your home. A lot of people do. With those systems, they sit side by side, provide hours of entertainment, but technologically they're quite different. You can't take a cassette and put it into your CD player. Nintendo currently has 31 million Nintendo Entertainment Systems installed throughout the United States alone. Because of that, these consumers already have this adapter, so to speak, in their homes. For us to provide an adapter with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, we would be pushing a product onto the consumers that already have the Nintendo Entertainment System and duplicating what we already have.
Okay, so does that mean then that you're going to discontinue the 8-bit system?
Oh, certainly not. Nintendo and its licensees is strongly committed to supporting not only the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but the Nintendo Entertainment System and the handheld Game Boy system as well. That's something that Nintendo will continue to work with and work with its licensees on providing support all the way through. Connecting your Super Nintendo or your Nintendo Entertainment System, did you have any problems with that?
You know, come to think of it, it was quite simple.
The Super Nintendo Entertainment System is just as easy to connect. Instructions come with the unit to hook up the Super Nintendo Entertainment System right next to your Nintendo Entertainment System so that both are connected to your television set. If you have any additional questions regarding hookup or the games themselves, you can call our consumer hotline toll-free 1-800-255-3700. Do you have any other questions?
The only other question that I would have is, where can I pick up one of the Super Nintendo Entertainment Systems?
Sir, you can pick one up right over here.
Hi, can I help you find something from the Game Boy line?
Well, I don't know. I'm on my lunch hour, and I don't really have much time. I just wanted to get something for my kids for Christmas.
Okay, how many kids do you have?
I have 3, and we already have 1 Game Boy.
Okay, you might be interested in purchasing a second Game Boy. They come with something called a Game Link. It would allow 2 of the kids to play together with the game pack that's included Tetris.
Oh, that would be great.
Some other things you might be interested in for the kids would be something like the Game Boy carrying case. It's a hip pouch, and it has neon pink on the front of it. It would allow them to carry the Game Boy, as well as about 6 different games in the battery pack, if you have that.
Yeah, we do have one of those already.
Okay.
Those would be great stocking stuffers. Why don't
Yeah,
you give me
they're
a couple of those? Let's have 3.
Okay. And something else you might just want to be aware of, when you have a lot of different games in the Game Boy, a nice item to have around for preventative maintenance is the cleaning kit. You might want to consider that as well.
Okay. Oh, sure, I'll take one.
Okay. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, I think that's it for today. Thanks very much. You're doing
Sure.
great.
In case you're wondering, the last two numbers are 6, 8. That's 6, 8. How do you like that system?
It's great. Graphics are really cool. The sound's good.
That's the Nintendo one, the 16-bit, the new one?
Yeah, it's the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
You know, there's another game that I was playing. I forget the name of it, but it's really, really cool. And I don't think it's for the Nintendo.
Well, if it's games you're looking for, Nintendo is definitely the product you'd be interested in. Nintendo has a history of bringing out game hit after game hit.
I really like that one game, though, and I know that it wouldn't work with this system.
Yeah, but you got to realize that one game doesn't make the system. You want to look at the history of a product and see how many good games that come out for it over time. With our NES product, we had over 430 games, and we're still coming out with more for that system. You can expect the exact same kind of support for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System as well.
Well, that sounds pretty good. I know that the NES is, there's lots of games available for that.
Yeah, some of the games available for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System include F-Zero. That's the game that you were just playing. Some of the other games are Pilot Wings and Super Tennis. There's also a really awesome game called ActRaiser that really shows the great stereo sound available with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's great. Nintendo is definitely a good name in games. Yeah, I think I'll take one of those.
Okay, great. Thanks. So what happens if you get stuck? What if you need help? Well, you may not have Yoshi and Mario standing by to help you, but at the 1-800 Consumer Service Hotline at Nintendo's corporate offices, we have 200 reps waiting to answer any question you may encounter. These reps can help you understand our products better, as well as help you relate the different features and benefits of the products to each of your customers. If you do have any questions, please feel free to call 1-800-255-3700. At the end of each day, you can call in and get answers to any of those difficult questions you've encountered. Mario and Yoshi will be glad to help you out. If you are missing any items from your original starter kit, or you need to reorder supplies at any time during your job assignment, you want to call 1-800-875-1852. In the back of your binder, under Supplies, you'll find detailed reorder information. You'll also find a supply quick reference sheet. Make sure you fill out this information completely before calling the 1-800 number. It requires that you get both a weekday and weekend store contact. This way, the people at the 1-800 number will know who to send the supplies to. This person, your store contact, will be responsible for getting those supplies directly to you. When you call to reorder the supplies, you just need to tell them which brochures or other items you need. Brochures will be sent out in bundles of 100, up to about 500 at a time. All the items will be sent to you by Federal Express. You should expect to receive them within 72 hours. If you do not have your supplies within 72 hours, please call the 1-800 number as soon as possible. Your items will either be tracked or resent immediately. You also want to note on your reorder information sheet your best time to call. Let's turn to the forms section of our manual, and I'll show you how to fill out your hourly reimbursement form. At the top where it says account name, make sure you put your store's name. Also reference the store number and the store address as well. We would also like you to include your name, address, and home telephone number. Down at the bottom of the form, on the far right-hand side, you'll see columns listed unit sales. We realize you will not be actually ringing up any of your customers' sales, but we would like you to keep track of how many customers purchase product based on your recommendations. Where it says TTL HW, that references the number of hardware sales. SW is software or game pack sales. And TTL ACC is the number of accessories that your customer purchased based on your recommendations. These forms need to be given to your store manager at the end of your job assignment. Now let's turn to the area of your binder called Return Procedures. Here we will list all the different items that we would like you to return in your pre-addressed Federal Express envelope. Make sure that you return the evaluation that's included in this section, your apron, this training manual with the videotape, and all 4 laminated sheets, in addition to the 3 keys that you use to open your displays. You'll note on the next page there is an evaluation form. Please fill this out. Your feedback about the training program will be a valuable asset in future years. Make sure you note your 6-digit key code on the first page of the training evaluation. When you're returning the items listed above, you want to make sure that you remove the air bill from the front of the Federal Express envelope and fill out neatly the information about where the items are coming from, namely your store location. When you've completed this, put the air bill back in the plastic pouch and give the envelope to your store manager. He'll make sure that the information goes out Federal Express. If you would like, you may also drop off the package at any Federal Express office or Federal Express drop box.
As stated in the manual, you may keep the 3 Nintendo Player's Guides, the hat, the Game Boy keychain, not the keys, and the Mario stand-up display. If you do not want the stand-up display, please completely destroy it.
Once again, we'd like to thank you for your participation in the Power of Choice Demonstrator program. We've covered a lot of information in the video. Feel free to read in detail about each of the steps in your training manual. Good luck and have fun.